In today's video, we take a road trip to Hood River, Oregon, to ride the historic Mount Hood Railroad with this EMD GP38-3 locomotive up front for a great little ride along the Hood River and up into the nearby orchards and vineyards. All told, 22 miles each way up and back, a real nice 1.5 hour train ride. If you like trains, you're gonna like this video. Ever since we moved into our new house here in Washington, I've been saying that we'd get out and ride some of the trains here in the Pacific Northwest. So today we're gonna check one off the list, the Mount Hood Railroad. The depot is right in the downtown area of the city of Hood River. That's about 60 miles east of the more well-known city of Portland, Oregon. This rail line dates back to 1906. It primarily transported fruit and lumber back in the day. Union Pacific acquired it in 1968, and by the 1980s, they were about ready to abandon it. But in 1987, it was bought by a group of local investors who had a vision to offer tourist excursions to augment the freight business. Now, when my wife and I arrived at the depot, I put my drone up in the air to get a little aerial video of the train, which an engineer was just firing up in a little switchyard nearby. Here you can see him firing up something in that first rail car. And then he climbed back aboard the locomotive and prepared to get moving. A few minutes later, the train headed over to the depot to pick up all us passengers. So I brought the drone back down, and pretty soon we were able to board. Once all the passengers were on board and settled into their seats, the conductor closed everything up and we were ready to go. Now, I had never been on the Mount Hood Railroad before, so at that point I didn't know what our route was or where we were going. I just assumed that since the locomotive was up ahead there, that we'd be heading off in that direction in front of us where I had the camera pointing. Nope. As you can see, the train backed out of the station with the locomotive pushing the rail cars instead of pulling them. So I turned the camera around so that it would be pointing in the direction the train was moving, and we could see what was up ahead. I'm going to speed this video up for a moment here as the train makes its way out of the switchyard, and if you give it just a minute, once we get out of the switchyard, things are going to start to get really beautiful. Once the train got out of the switchyard and made it through this big right curve, we'd be coming up to the river that this town is named after, Hood River. I was pretty excited to be on a train ride, any train ride, but when we started heading onto this bridge that took us across Hood River, it was just so beautiful. The view of the river and all the trees, I was just beside myself with happiness over how much I was enjoying this ride. I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes and just let you enjoy the view yourself as the train makes its way alongside Hood River and through the beautiful countryside. pay attention to this sign coming up. The sign says switchback. We're about 3 miles into our journey at this point. We've been traveling alongside the Hood River most of the way so far, but we need to go up a hillside to get up to where the orchards and the vineyards are. We do this by using a switchback. Switchbacks used to be common back in the early days of railroads in the USA, but these days they're very unusual on a railroad. The switchback we're about to do on the Mount Hood Railroad is only one of 5 remaining railroad switchbacks in the entire United States. The easiest way for me to show you how this switchback works is to recreate it with model trains on my driveway, because my house sits up higher than the street and the driveway slopes down to the street. That's similar to the way the orchards and vineyards our train is heading towards sit up higher than the Hood River that the train has been traveling along up until this point. So pretend this model train is the train running on the Mount Hood Railroad. It's sitting in the switchyard up until it's time to pick up the passengers at the depot. Pretend that the cardboard box is the train depot in Hood River. The train heads up to the depot with the locomotive going first, pulling the rail cars. Then it stops at the depot and picks up the passengers. Then it goes in the reverse direction, away from the depot, with the locomotive pushing the rail cars instead of pulling them. Now it heads down the line, along the Hood River, until it comes to the switchback. It pulls up, past where that switch is, where the other set of tracks comes in. Once all the cars and the locomotive are past the switch, the train stops and a crew member jumps out and switches the switch. Once the switch has been thrown, the locomotive heads in the reverse direction, with the locomotive now pulling the rail cars instead of pushing them. And the train can head up the sloped section of the layout. In the case of this recreation using model trains, the slope it's heading up is the slope of my driveway, but in the case of the Mount Hood Railway, this slope would be the hillside leading from the river up to the orchards and vineyards above. So back to the real thing. Here's where we left off before my little switchback demonstration using model trains. We're down at river level, approaching the switchback. Once all the rail cars and the locomotive have passed the switch, the train comes to a stop. One of the crew jumps off the train and throws the switch, and now the train is free to get moving again in the reverse direction it was going before. Now the locomotive is up at the front of the train and it's pulling the rail cars behind it. Look to the right of the train and you'll see where the track splits at the switch. We go the other direction from where we came, and that heads us up the hillside. I've turned the camera around now so that we can look in the direction the train is traveling, and I'm going to just leave the video at 3 times normal speed here and let you enjoy the views as we head up the hillside. We've made it up the hillside and we're just about to come to a very beautiful area of orchards and vineyards and a few little agricultural warehouses where they load products onto freight cars. But first, we're going to come to a fun part of the ride. Well, I think it's fun because I love the sound of a train horn. In a minute, the train's going to cross a road, so as it approaches the road, it is required to blow the horn so that any cars at the crossing will know the train is coming. There you go. Anyone driving a car on the road up ahead has been warned. The train's coming and it won't be stopping at the road, so any cars better yield the right of way. Look up to the left of the train and you can see the road crossing. Now here's some of the orchards I've been telling you about, and in a minute we'll be crossing the road again, so the engineer will be blowing the train horn again.
Oh, there's some hares. There's a strawberry tree. So cool.
I'm going to switch to a view from the other side of the train now. You can see the orchards are on both sides of the track, and we're going to get a glimpse of something interesting as I start to pan the camera to the left. I'm going to throw it into slow motion so you can see it better. Look right there in the distance, that's Mount Hood. I didn't even realize it was there as I was shooting this video. I only noticed it when I looked back at the video. Notice the vineyards here. There are some good wineries in the Hood River region. So we're just about at the end of the line now. That warehouse there is where we stop and head back to the town of Hood River where we began. It took about 45 minutes to get here, and it'll take about 45 minutes to get back. A nice 1.5 hour train ride that I really enjoyed. I'm going to freeze this shot right here to point out Washington's Mount Adams in the distance. To keep this video from getting way too long and boring, I will show you just a couple of very quick video clips from the trip back to Hood River, since the second half of our ride is exactly the same as the first half, only backwards. I like the view as the train goes around this big curve here. You can look in this direction and see the rail cars ahead of us, and then turn around and look in the other direction and see the rail cars behind us. And just after that big curve, as the train crosses Highway 35, we get another quick glimpse of Mount Hood in the distance. And an 18-wheeler on the highway gives us a salute. And this is probably my favorite view from the whole trip as we cross the Hood River on our way back into town. Wow, so gorgeous. I'll speed this up now as the train completes the trip back to the depot in Hood River. Listen, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and hit the like button. That lets YouTube know that this is a good video that they should be recommending to other people. Around the world, people upload over 700,000 hours of video to YouTube every day. The only way that YouTube's algorithm can figure out which of those videos are any good is with your help. If no one clicks the like button, the algorithm figures the video isn't any good. If a lot of people click the like button, the algorithm figures out it's a good video and recommends it to other people. If you click the share button to share this video with other people, that's even higher praise. The algorithm knows you wouldn't share it if it wasn't good. And if you subscribe to my channel while you're watching this video, YouTube interprets that as the highest praise of all. It means you liked this video so much, you want to see more just like it from me in the future. And by the way, just in case you don't already know, subscribing to my channel doesn't cost anything. It's free to subscribe. You don't get spam or anything bad. All that happens when you subscribe to my channel is that YouTube will recommend my videos to you whenever I post a new one. As you can see, we made it back to the train depot in Hood River. I hope you enjoyed this trip on the Mount Hood Railroad. I'm Jim Zim. Thanks for watching.